Do you ever question reality or wonder what you are? Well, stay tuned and I'll tell you all about it. Hey, what's up guys? My name's Echo and welcome to my YouTube channel, Awakened Ascension, where we live in peace, love, unity, and respect. You have possibly already met me in person or at raves/festivals or on social media. Either way, what I always like to say, whenever people encounter me, this means that it's their time to hear my message. I believe in divine timing and that everything happens for a reason. Stay tuned if you are curious on how to understand these higher realms of consciousness and what you could do to connect with this sacred knowledge. A little side note, if you liked the song at the beginning of the video, thank you. I produced it myself. If you want to stay updated on my music, go check out the link in the description below. We'll have my SoundCloud and you can watch me make some good ass music. Yeah, okay. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to understand the consciousness and the alignment within our bodies, so you can understand why these enlightening spiritual practices and symbols you see everywhere are so important to understand for our everyday lives. So be sure to grab a journal, your favorite pen, and some water, because we about to get knowledgeable up in this bitch. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as well as hit that bell so you get notifications for every video that I post. And stick around to the end of this video and I have a little treat for you guys to get you inspired for this new journey ahead of us. So, the main purpose of me making this video is to educate those who are trying to make the most out of their mental, emotional, and spiritual health. It is for the ones who are ready to take the next step to becoming the best versions of themselves. I feel like this is an important topic to address since the Amazon rainforest was on fire for weeks straight, and we were so clueless when it came to knowing what we could do to save the planet. If you don't already know, the main cause of the rainforest fires are for animal, agriculture, and ranching purposes. If you want more detail on the rainforest, I definitely recommend watching the two links that I have provided in the description below. One is by Ralph Smart, breathing in that good ass prana. Not really though, because we need rainforest for that good ass prana. But anyways, and the other from the Vlog Brothers. Both very informative, both I highly recommend to watch, but mainly the Vlog Brothers one because he makes some big points I could put into retrospect on what we're dealing with here. I'll give you a moment to watch those videos and then you could tune back in. If you didn't watch the video, basically what they're saying is that we need rainforests to properly exist here on Earth. Trees create oxygen and water. The more we tear them down, the less water and oxygen we have, which means the less air to breathe, which means death to us all. Or Mother Nature is just going to simply wash us out of her system and literally destroy everything in her path so she can rebuild. It's so sad that humans are the ones who are intentionally burning them down for ranching purposes. All because we want meat and dairy on our plates daily. I'm not going to get into that right now. It's a very touchy subject, but let's just talk about what we can do to make the change we need to where it can actually have a strong impact. Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. We need to revisit our ancient roots to understand how and why everything is connected. I believe all these issues stem from lack of self-awareness, lack of empathy, and all around lack of self-love. I feel like we have forgotten the most important rule to being here on Earth, and that is the simple fact that we are all connected. Society has not been able to understand the true importance of loving one another, We've been living in our egos rather than our spirits for quite some time now. We have lost touch with our higher selves. We've been neglecting the only thing that can actually show us this true wisdom, heal us from our wounds, and teach us about our existence. And this truth is nature. When you lose sight of this truth, you lose sight of the big picture. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're in luck, because I'm going to teach you how your body works within this divine alignment and how you can use it to be the best version of you that you can be. Sacred geometry. I'll start off by introducing you to sacred geometry and teaching you the alignment in our bodies within that. Everything in the universe is geometric. Anything in the universe can be measured on a geometric scale. It is important to know that creation, aka the entire existence that we live in, is also geometric and that everything exists within that. Let me know in the comment section below if sacred geometry impacted your life in any way. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say and what experiences you've had discovering this truth. So what we're going to be looking at today is the pattern of creation. And we will talk about why these patterns are very important to understand for everyday lives. This can explain our emotions, thoughts, even music in its entire spectrum. The 3 tools I like to provide are the fruit of life, the phi ratio, and the 7 hermetic principles. For this video, we'll only talk about the phi ratio and the fruit of life because the 7 hermetic principles is a whole lesson on its own. This is the fruit of life. This was originally known from around the world during ancient times, found in Ireland, Israel, Egypt, China, Greece, Germany, India, England, Tibet, Japan. You name it, it's there. Everything in the universe is connected. Through understanding sacred geometry, we can trace the pattern of creation. This can allow us to understand our history and how it is connected to the present and future. The answers are all around us. So, all it is just infinite amount of circles. Just circle, 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 circle. How it is created, we have to go all the way back to the first circle. We start off with nothing and spirit, aka God, whatever you want to call it. Spirit becomes aware of itself in nothingness and expands its consciousness, thus creating the first circle. Spirit becomes curious again and migrates to the edge of the circle that was created and creates the new circle. Through creating the first 2 circles with common radiuses, this creates the vesica piscis. The vesica piscis, however you pronounce it. Within this provides the knowledge about width, depth, and proportion. This can also be linked to Christianity and the fish. Also, little disclaimer, I know a lot of people dislike the idea of religion, and I totally understand that. I used to never believe in any of it. I honestly refused to, until I experienced this truth and discovered that every religion comes from this root understanding. I just want everyone to know that man took this beautiful practice and made it their own in order to have control over the people in the name of God. But when you come to understand that religion is just simply a form of spiritual practice and a way to connect with the higher realms through prayer and meditation, you'll start to see that there is a lot of truth in these texts and that there is more than what meets the eye. My advice is to pick your favorite things that resonates with your spirit through science and religion, because they're all one and the same, just different in degree. It's all about perspective and experience. Understanding that these perspectives are one and they exist for balance. They are there for a reason. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to look within. You have all the answers. So the vesica piscis contains the square root of 2, 3, and 5. These are all numbers that can go on forever. Some call this the womb of the universe because it explains duality. Through understanding when one divides and becomes dual, there's now an opposing side. A positive to a negative, a masculine to a feminine. And in the center, it has created the third, the offspring. This can explain how all relationships of creation starts from here. If you'd like to dive deeper into this, please leave a comment. I would be more than glad to do so. When you complete the pattern after the first circle by creating each circle with the same radius, you begin to reveal the seed of life. This can also be known as the Genesis pattern. Here we can see how this creation pattern fits perfectly into the 7 days of creation. Each of these circles can be interpreted as a day. On the first movement, moving into the second sphere, it created knowledge, and not only mathematical proportions, but it created light. The first sentence in the book of Genesis says, "And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, and God said, 'Let there be light.' And there was light." The key to understanding these texts is that movement of God happened first, then the light occurred immediately after. How I like to explain this, I like to imagine self just floating in a void, moving in all directions. Just black, nothing else besides self. You realize you can't really seem to be moving without something there. You could be flailing your arms all you want, but there's nothing, you're not moving left or right or up and down without something actually being there. Because motion cannot become real unless there is another object in the space around you. Before God moved upon the face of the water, it would have had to create something relative to self in order to move through time and space. It's like the Bugs Bunny episode when the author would erase everything and he was floating in a white void. He had to create something to provide motion within the space. Okay, so after creating the third sphere, this manifests the Holy Trinity. We could talk about the power of 3 in a later video. So after the third sphere, we move on to the fourth sphere on the 5th day, fifth sphere on the 6th day, and the 6th on the 7th day. This created the first 6-petaled flower, little seed. And this is what earlier Bibles meant when they said, "In the beginning there were 6," hence creating the beginning of the universe that we live in. I will link an article in the description providing the biblical text of the first 7 days of creation if you are curious. The second image we manifest lies between the seed and the flower of life. This is known as the egg of life. After adding 6 circles to the seed of life, you get this form after deleting certain lines, allowing you to view this in a 3D perspective. When you pull it apart, there are 8 spheres in total. 4 in the front and 4 in the back. These 8 spheres are interconnected with each other. It is called the egg of life because when you compare it to mitosis and their stages, you can see a very big comparison. When the cells reach the 8th stage, you see they are dramatically alike. Everything in life passes through these stages. In those previous images, you can see how it relates to our genetic structure that creates our entire bodies. Your entire physical existence is dependent on the egg of life structure. Everything from your eye color to how long your fingers are, it's all stemmed from this. Okay, moving on to the flower of life. It's completely similar to the fruit of life in every way, but you will notice that it is contained by 2 circles after creating the first 19 circles. It's funny because if you understand numerology, you can add the 1 to the 9, which makes 10, and then which in turn, when simplified, it becomes 1. Get it? Becomes 1? Okay, just me? Alright. Anyways, the reason the 2 circles exist is because back in ancient times, they didn't want people to know what lied beyond these lines because this knowledge was so sacred. It was made to protect this information because humanity was not ready for it at the time. Well, newsflash, people. Now we are more than ready to understand this information, and we need to understand it if we want to evolve as a human race. I feel like when you lose sight of this root understanding, you're only going to get lost in the sauce. Heavy. You'll overanalyze things, start asking too many questions or not enough questions. My biggest advice is to keep it simple. Don't lose sight of the big picture. Center yourself and become aware of the present moment. Observe your thoughts and your surroundings and just breathe. Because the time is now, and time and space is an illusion. To me, life is just like a giant math equation. The only way to solve it is to simplify it. Okay, So now that we understand how to create the flower of life, we can talk about how you create the fruit of life. This is what started my personal journey long ago. Just to realize I've been on this path to enlightenment for a long time now. And I'm sure you're going to come to realize that too. So when we remove the 2 circles from the flower of life, something magical happens. Continue completing the spheres that were cut off in the flower of life, and in turn you have created the fruit of life. It is called the fruit because it is the fruit, aka the result of the reality that we have created. This pattern of 13 circles is one of the most sacred forms in all existence. As you can see, it consists of mainly feminine energy because it is very round and curvy. But when you fuse masculine energy within that by connecting each center of each circle, we create Metatron's cube. If you study sacred geometry or even regular geometry, you'll know that there are 5 unique shapes in this universe, and that they are crucial to understanding both regular and sacred geometry. These are called the Platonic solids, and these shapes, they all share 4 similar characteristics. All faces have the same size, all the edges are the same length, there's only 1 angle throughout the entire shape, and when put inside of a sphere, all of the points touches the edge of the sphere perfectly. With that being said, there are only 5 shapes that fit these descriptions, and those shapes are the dodecahedron, the tetrahedron, the octahedron, the icosahedron, and the hexahedron, aka cube. All these shapes are found within Metatron's cube. Each shape has an elemental aspect to them. Tetrahedron is fire, hexahedron is earth, octahedron is air, the icosahedron is water, and the dodecahedron is ether. These 6 elements are the building blocks of the universe. Every single element on the periodic table has a relationship towards these Platonic solids. I will link a link in the description below to an article about Dr. Robert J. Moon. It is about his studies as well as others on how the periodic table is linked to these shapes. So, basically everything that modern science knows about the elements in reality are tied within the Platonic solids, which stems from Metatron's cube, which is formed out of the fruit of life, which comes from the flower of life, which is created by spirit, aka source, aka God, aka the divine, whatever you want to call it, it's created by that. Please check out one of my favorite videos by After School. He usually makes very, very knowledgeable videos, but this one was more artistic, but he did an amazing job representing the fruit of life through enlightening visuals if you want to get a glimpse of what this amazing image can express. So now that we have that somewhat explained, let us move into the phi ratio. This is my personal favorite. Some of you may already know this as the Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio, or the infinite spiral all life flows within. I will link another video in the description that explains the mathematics behind it. I'm going to keep it simple because I feel like this video is running a little long. So basically the phi ratio is the ratio within our hands, as well as our feet, our face, our body, plants, animals, weather, fossils, shells, etc. The Fibonacci sequence is a string of numbers that begin with 0 and 1, which can be extended infinitely by adding up any 2 consecutive numbers to find the next in sequence. So when we add 0 and 1, we get 1. When we add 1 with 1, that is 2. Eventually you will end up with 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 89, 144, etc. As the ratio gets higher, it gets closer and closer to 1.618, aka 5. This explains the growth in nature. If you connect each corner of the squares with an arc, you will eventually manifest a golden spiral. The phi ratio can relate to wonderful musical masterpieces. By following the flow, you can see here that the phi ratio exists in all living things, or phi can simply explain the essence of nature. So once you understand the fruit/flower of life and the phi ratio, I like to combine the two and layer them over each other. Here, you can see a vortex. I'm just kidding. But really, when you experience this, this shit is life-changing. Now let's layer the flower of life over the human body. Keep in mind that the phi ratio is within your body's proportions. Now what we can see here is the main points intersecting within the body. You will come to realize that these points are each of your glands through your entire spectrum, also known as your chakras. Each gland has a responsibility to communicate with each other to regulate the body, as well as to keep the body balanced. So you have your root, your sacral, your solar plexus, your heart, your throat, your third eye, and your crown chakras. I mainly want to focus on the crown chakra for woke reasons. So we have the crown chakra, aka the Sahasrara, aka the Sahasrara. This is connected to your pineal gland. Your pineal gland is located at the center of your brain, above your pituitary gland. It basically looks like the Eye of Horus. It basically is the Eye of Horus. This gland produces serotonin, melatonin, and DMT neurotransmitters. Serotonin influences over 40 million of our brain cells, either indirectly or directly. This is the happy chemical we all know and love, and we always love to crack jokes. Where's serotonin? Because without it, it can lead to severe depression. And with melatonin, melatonin is what helps regulate or indicate your sleeping patterns, which is very important, especially relating to the DMT neurotransmitters, because DMT creates a natural psychedelic state of consciousness when this is released. When DMT is released, these moments occur when you were born, and when you dream, and when you die. Fun! It is released in small increments when you dream, and large increments when you are born and when you die. This tiny gland not only plays a crucial role in our psychological well-being, but it is the key to unlocking the true potential of humanity. Alright guys, I'm sorry I have to cut this short. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I am so grateful for you tuning in. I'm going to end the video here since I will be making a video solely about how you can reconnect to that mighty fine pineal gland of yours. In the next episode, I will be explaining the 7 Hermetic principles and how you can use it daily to take ownership of your life. Feel free to check the links in the description below to study the 7 Hermetic principles in the meantime so you can be ready for the next lesson, as well as all the other things I've mentioned. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button as well as the bell notification so you could be notified when my next video is up. If you have any questions or comments on sacred geometry, please feel free to state that in the comment section below. Make sure you share this video with all your friends and family. I'd love to get this message as far out as possible. Thank you again for listening. Please enjoy this light show I have for you guys. Without further ado, peace, love, unity, respect, Echo out. Did I blow your mind? I hope so, because when I figured this out, I was amazed. I was amazed that there's so much more to this world than what we think. And there's so much more connections than we know. So just connect. Get with it. Get one. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Get one in this bitch. Get one in this bitch. I'm just kidding.